Eat like a king who's on a budget. 3 tasty options, fries, drink, and nuggets. All for $5. Wait, that can't be right. Just confirm that that's the real price. BK, have it your way.
Welcome to Leather Brains, your host, Lapdog here, and week 2 is almost done, but it is not yet, and we will be discussing the Monday night preview at the end of the show, but before we do that, we have to tackle all that has happened in week 2. I'm joined today by Alan Casanova Castro and Scotty Del Rey. Gentlemen, how'd week 2 fare for you guys?
In what context? What do you mean?
Yeah.
Fantasy-wise?
Not your teams, not your teams per se. We'll get into that.
Well, let's talk fantasy-wise first, because this has been a historically bad start for all of my fantasy teams through 2 weeks.
You have AJ Brown on all your teams?
I do, yes. I've got AJ Brown. I've got Joe Burrow, so that sucks.
Same.
Yeah, it's been really like almost comically bad. Like I think I might lean into it and just be the worst team in every league this year.
Try to set a record.
Not that I have a choice. It seems
Try
like
to
that's
set a
true.
record.
Yeah.
Least point scored. I will say AJ Brown. I did see he had a 300% increase in fantasy points from last week.
Like 1.4
He's trending
to 5.7.
He's trending.
I think
He went 1.3 to 5.2. So he's moving in the right direction.
Hey, we'll take the baby steps. We'll take the baby steps in the right direction. As somebody who also owns AJ Brown, I'm here for it. I hope it continues. Well, today, gentlemen, as I mentioned, we are going to be discussing week 2. We're going to be discussing all the storylines and the narratives and everything that has happened in week 2. There's been a lot of injuries. There's a lot of ref conversations. Let's just start this thing out by talking about the 49ers, because they marched into New Orleans and destroyed them. It was 49 of them to be exact. San Francisco, they went on the road despite losing several players. Their backup quarterback, Mac Jones, he stepped up and honestly, he had a very strong outing, throwing for nearly 280 yards, 3 touchdowns. CMC, he hit the 100-yard mark from scrimmage. Defense came up big with a strip sack and a key moment, and the Saints had flashes, but a late fumble cost them while under pressure. This 49ers, they won this game 26-21. And to be quite honest with you, I'm not surprised that they won this game, because I have the Saints as one of the worst teams in the NFL. But this has got to be really, really alarming for the 49ers, for 49ers fans out there. Those of you that are playing fantasy football, the 49ers are in a boatload of trouble. They also lost Kyle Juszczyk to a concussion, and they lost their guard to an ankle injury in this game. So they're playing with presumably a high school roster at this point, aside from Christian McCaffrey and a backup Mac Jones, because it looks like Brock Purdy's not going to be there for the next couple weeks. Anything you guys want to dissect about this game, aside from the fact that despite playing with second string team in general, they still beat the Saints?
I thought we were on the cycle of this was the 49ers year to be good. Aren't we on that cycle? They're like, 1 year they're bad, 1 year they're good. Are we going back to back?
Aren't they 2-0?
They are 2-0.
Okay.
Actually, wait, are they?
I think they are.
What a great podcast.
Did I forget already?
We don't even know what the 49ers record is.
Oh my gosh, I should know this too, because they're division rivals of mine. They are. They barely beat the Seahawks. I couldn't remember how they did against the Seahawks. They beat the Seahawks 17-13. So they are 2-0.
We're just now getting used to this much football. We're still warming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who all the teams are.
Yeah. I don't know the division.
People change teams, and I'm like, I didn't even know you made it to that team. I think the best part about all this was Spencer Rattler coming out and being like, guys, we're pretty close. We just put a few things together. We're like, we got this. I'm like,
okay. In all seriousness, though, the Saints are fighting.
They kind of did.
They don't look as bad. Like, I know they're losing the games so far, but they don't look as bad as what I imagined them in my head before the season.
That's true.
Started.
I think before the season, I was like, they might score as many points as Scotty's fantasy team this year. Like, next to zero.
Brutal.
Next to zero.
I mean, I saw the Saints pegged as one of the worst teams, so I'm not changing that narrative. I mean, the fact that they almost beat a depleted 49ers roster and they still didn't get it done, I think is telling of the Saints in general.
I was going to say, that's probably a signal of how bad they are. The 49ers are struggling to just keep bodies on the field, and they still couldn't figure out a way to win. I think that's bad. I think for the 49ers, that's fine. You just collect your wins and you move on until people get healthy. Like, that's all you want to do. You just... NFL, you don't apologize for the wins. It's tough to win.
No,
so it
is tough to win.
Collect the W and move on.
Scotty, I don't know if you're interested. You might be able to go try out for the team.
Ooh. He has a concussion history, though. I don't think that's
I do.
He'd
but
fit right in, it
Probably,
sounds like.
probably worth it. Honestly, I know that's true. I show up there and I'm like, hey, listen, I know I don't look like much, but look at my concussion history. And you'd be like, oh yeah, we need
Class
you
A Nebraska high school football concussions to NFL concussions. Like, I think that's quite a leap for you.
No problem. Worth it for however long I survive. It'll be a cool story.
Yeah.
And you do it for the story. I don't know what it's got to be something in the water there. Like I genuinely, the fact that they're, I mean, this is you were joking about it, Alan, but they are constantly struggling with injuries. And you're like, it's this. Last year was their injury year, so this year they got to be good. And they come out of the gate this year, and half the team is already injured.
Yeah,
pretty tough.
How many?
They forgot what year it was.
I'm
gonna ask ChatGPT how many strength coaches they've had.
Yeah, that would
49ers?
be. That would be a good thing to try and figure out, because maybe they're going too hard.
I feel like a lot of people got hurt this week, though, in the NFL.
There
I
was
feel like
a
this
lot.
was just like, this guy's hurt, and this guy, I know we'll talk about it. I mean, there's just a ton of injuries, and Burrow and everybody just dying. It's like,
Yeah.
This is only week 2, and the
I know.
NFL wants to keep adding games to the schedule.
They have to add
You're
more
like-
roster spots. There's no way
You're
that
like,
they
who
can.
the hell is going to be able to play all these games? Like, everybody's dying. Like, I
Okay.
think they forget what sport it is sometimes.
So they've had one strength coach from 2019 to
Fire him.
2024. He was
him out of
just promoted
Oh,
to the vice president of player health and performance. That seems like a pretty stupid thing to do.
failing upwards.
Pretty
Yeah.
stupid though. Yeah. We only lost some of our players for the entire season this
What
year.
is his
You
I
need a
wonder
new
what, like,
office.
the metrics of his job entails? I feel like number 1 on that list would be like, players are healthy. Nope. I don't think he's meeting that at all. He sits down with his boss. He's like, so how'd we do this year? Well, everybody died. You're doing great. You're promoted.
yeah. Here's a promotion. Well done.
Yeah, that's
All
crazy.
right, Jerry Jones, gentlemen, he shit his pants. This game, the Cowboys, the Giants. Cowboys win this game 40-37 in overtime. Completely wild shootout by Dak and Russell Wilson. Cowboys, they did tie the game up late with a long field goal. They forced the overtime, and then they won in a game-winning field goal. Russell Wilson, gentlemen, he didn't look bad, and that's really one of the things. He looked very good. I mean, he went 30 for 41, 450 yards, and 3 touchdowns to 1 interception. He also did have the terrible interception in the game. I don't know if you guys had the opportunity to see it, but there was nobody but the defense there, and he just lobbed it up, and it went right into their hands. And this was in overtime. It really did cost them the game. But when I watched that, immediately I thought, what are we going to talk about today? And the old adage of it depends on what it looks like kind of came to mind. I know that we say that here a lot on this show. Did Russ buy himself some more time? Because going into this game, everybody was, if we watched Russell Wilson just a week ago, it was abysmal. It was disgusting. And everybody wanted Jackson Dart to come out here on the field. And now, did he maybe qualm some of the haters in that fashion? Or not?
I know we're going to get to this game, but you saw what the Eagles did to that Cowboys defense. And then you see what the Eagles did this past week, where it was like, okay, it was a little bit more of an uphill battle with the Chiefs. And then you look at what the Giants were able to. I think the Cowboys defense is just that bad that they could make anybody look pretty damn good. And I think this is part of what I would not put much stock into this. That late interception, I don't know. It's kind of overtime. You're trying to win the game. I mean, that was just a terrible pass. But I think if you're a Giants fan, you still have to be like, okay, we're ready for Dart, because as soon as next week, Russell's going to give you old Russell. Like, I'm almost willing to put like a seal of approval on that statement. Like, he's going to give you the shit side of the sandwich right now, because the Cowboys defense, I think after 2 games and seeing kind of how everything's shaking out, I think the Cowboys defense is just that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, one good thing that the Cowboys can hang their hat on, I know they got rid of their best defensive player, but they held the Giants to under 100 yards rushing. I know Jerry Jones said, hey, got to do something about this rushing defense situation. Well, they figured it out. Held them to under 100 yards, the Giants, so that's pretty good.
We'll let Russell torch us for 350 or for 450, but as long as nobody runs for 100, we're cooking.
But Russ looked really good. The thing about quarterbacks that aren't in the top tier of the NFL, sometimes I feel like we don't really consider this a lot, at least consciously, but it's not any individual game or any individual performance, it's consistency. And Russell is probably not going to have this level of consistency. It's the same that we're going to talk about Justin Fields in a little bit. His problem isn't oh, he can have a really, really good game one week, but it's consistently. Can you do it over and over and over again without completely shitting the bed and shitting your pants and getting kicked off the team? And Russell's got to do this a lot more before anyone is convinced that he is going to be the starter for any length of time, because I'm still firmly in the position that Jackson Dart is just waiting in the wings, and it's literally only a matter of time.
Week 5, baby. I'm not changing my narrative. I tend to agree with you both. I've been very, very adamant that I think week 5, the Jackson Dart era begins. And honestly, that could even happen week 4. We'll see what happens, because there was a lot of people that, going into this game said, we want Jackson Dart, and that was kind of a media headline in NFL spaces. And so I think he bought himself a week, but I tend to agree with you, Alan. I think that this game is we're going to see the Russell Wilson that we've all come to know and love come to fruition.
I think if you're from a fantasy perspective, anybody you have going up against the Cowboys, just fucking start them. Just anybody at this point, because until they can show that they can hold somebody down, you're just going to want to keep starting against the Cowboys, because they're going to put up numbers.
Can we talk about the Cowboys offense though? Because looks a lot better than it did last season. Seems like they're cruising.
They're going to have to be now.
Yeah, I was going to say they're going to have to be, but I agree. I think that the addition of George Pickens is certainly showing. And that's really, and Javonte Williams, a lot of people are writing him off as somebody who's, what's that backfield going to look like? And I think he's kind of firmly planted himself. Obviously, he's on a 1-year deal, so we'll see what happens. But he's certainly getting the usage that the Cowboys need to try and diversify their offense. He's getting used, and he's getting used quite often, and he's not doing bad. Their offense did look good, but really, I think we all kind of knew that their offense was going to have to kind of keep them in games. And then the Micah Parsons thing happened, and that was just the icing on the cake for us to be like, okay, this is the formula in which, if they find success, this is how they're going to have to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep moving.
That's all I got on the Cowboys. Sorry to leave you hanging there.
That's okay. I thought you had more. Cam Ward Cam Ward loses against the Rams. 19-33 was the finish for the Rams-Titans game. The Rams, I was kind of a little nervous at halftime here. They were trailing at halftime. They took over in the second half. Matt Stafford threw for almost 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. Devontae Adams got over 100 yards. They had Puka Nacua run the ball for a 50-yard touchdown. But that's not really what I want to focus on. We know what the Rams are. We know that they're always going to be competitive. They are always a team that people have them under the radar, that somehow always find a way to get it done. And so what I want to do is spend some time talking about the Titans here today, because Cam Ward, I think, is legit. And I don't think his numbers really showcase that. I don't think his performance these last 2 weeks have really given people optimism in that way. And I'm not a Titans fan, but I watched Cam Ward play both of these games. In this game specifically, he went 19 for 33, 175 yards, and a touchdown. His QBR rating was 36, which isn't good. But I think that, what he's doing it depends on what it looks like. And I think for Cam, it's not Cam, it's the rest of the team is really, really bad. And I think Cam is out there doing a lot of the right things. I think that if he continues on trying to showcase that he can do these right things, the Titans are going to build around him. And obviously they're going to have to, just because of the draft capital they have invested in him. But I think that he is a long-term prospect for them. And I like what he's able to do. It's just his team that I'm not in love with.
Yeah, we put out the graphic before the season even started, and we asked, can he replicate maybe what Jaden Daniels did? And the consensus even back then for us was he doesn't have enough weapons. We feel like he's pretty good, but I don't think he's going to have that supporting cast that's going to allow him to, put up the kind of numbers that you need to. Even somebody like Burrow, if you watch a lot of his complete, how many passes last year do we see go to Chase that were 10-yard routes, but then he would house it for 60? He doesn't have anybody like that. And that's obviously an extreme end of the spectrum, comparing anybody to Jamar Chase. But I think it just highlights that quarterback can only do so much. He can put you in so many positions. And I think there was a throw he made where he kind of scrambled and then threw it across his body into the end zone. It was like a freaking dot. If you look at that clip, his eyes never once looked at the rush. He was constantly surveying downfield. He was just moving. It's like, okay, that's somebody that looks extremely comfortable already as a rookie that can make plays. Now it's just, are the Titans willing to invest in the talent around him, or are they just going to keep trading people away to not really get anything in return. And I don't know what the answer is to that, but if I'm a Titans fan, that's where my mind goes. Okay, I have hope now, but now is my team going to do anything to like capitalize on this talent we have at quarterback?
Yeah. Do you think that this is, and this just kind of came to me, do you think this is actually maybe a good thing for a rookie quarterback? And the reason I ask this question is obviously, yeah, you want to have a Caleb Williams situation where he's surrounded by all the talent in the world, and there's a lot of faith and optimism that this team is going to perform high. But we all came in with the expectation that the Titans were not going to be a good team. Would you rather have that for your rookie quarterback to say, hey, this is going to be really shitty, this is going to be difficult, but then when you start to surround him with talent, maybe it gets even easier, because instead of having to, get down to the fourth read, your second read might be available. And so you can process things faster, you can improve on the talent around you, and you've already seen it at its worst and had to try and make something happen when you didn't have the talent around you. So is that a fair thought to have, or would you rather just go all in with all the talent and surround your rookie with success?
I mean, it's kind of a spin zone thought a little bit. It's like something you tell yourself if you're a Titans fan. I don't think anyone in Washington is wishing that, Jaden Daniels was a little bit less successful his rookie year. But ultimately, this is what's normal. This is what you hope for on a realistic level, because there are so few Jaden Daniels situations. It's more like, hey, we got our guy, and all I want out of the season is to feel like we have our guy. And it doesn't matter whether we win or lose. I just want to watch these games and be like, hell yes, we have a freaking quarterback. Now we have a future. And that's all Titans fans want, and that's good. I mean, they're in a way better position than they were watching Will Levis do whatever he tried to do before. So.
Yeah. I mean, their offensive line is good enough. Probably not going to get him killed. They just, I don't know. The only one thing I worry about with rookie quarterbacks having no talent and having to do everything themselves is that they develop a bad habit of trying to do everything themselves and not relying on skill positions. Like even the great quarterbacks in the league, like your Burrows, your Josh Allens, your Mahomes, like they still need those people around them to do that. Even last year, you look at the running game for Josh Allen, you go to Joe Burrow, it's like, yeah, he's got great weapons he can throw to and they can take it the rest of the way. And then the flip side of that is you look at somebody like Mahomes this year, where it's like top two targets are down. He's trying to do a lot by himself. And it's just, sure, he can do it and things look decent enough, but you never want to get in the habit of that. And so I think it could be a good learning moment. You just don't want him to develop bad habits with it. Like they need to go make some moves. Like they need to be thinking about moves now. What are they going to do to bring talent in?
Yeah, no, and I have some ideas that we'll talk about a little bit later as far as some moves are concerned that maybe could be beneficial for him. But you mentioned the Titans' offensive line and how they didn't look bad. I will tell you there was a team whose offensive line looked absolutely terrible. Nothing has changed, and I've seen a lot of tweets and whatnot come out of the woodwork saying there's 300 million obese people in the world and they can't find 5 to protect Joe Burrow. I laughed. I got a good laugh out of it, but it's also kind of true. I mean, the Bengals, they lost Joe Burrow during this game. Jake Browning came in. He led the team to a comeback despite throwing 3 interceptions. Jaguars, they had turnovers and drops, namely Brian Thomas Jr., that kept them from kind of maintaining that momentum, even though their defense did create quite a few opportunities for them. The main headline here, Joe Burrow, he's expected to miss at least 3 months to a grade 3 turf toe injury. That he's still, nothing is definitive at this moment, but it is looking rather pessimistic as far as the outlook for Joey B. And I think that really spirals this team in a somewhat of an unfavorable direction. So, the Bengals, historically, they start the season very slow. They start off 0-5 almost every year. They're 2-0 right now, gentlemen. And so we're not going to apologize for the wins, but you look at their schedule for the next 9 games here. It's Vikings, Broncos, Lions, Packers, Steelers, Jets, Bears, Steelers, and Patriots without Joey B, their commander. So, I mean, what's your guys' takes on this? Is it concerning? I mean, obviously missing Joe is concerning.
Yeah. Losing Joe Burrow reshapes the AFC. Anytime you have a player of that caliber that goes out, you're like, oh, I have to rethink my playoff picture. Like, it's not even just their season and the immediacy after. It's like the AFC, you almost got to look at it all over. You're like, okay, well, the Bengals may be irrelevant. I did see some quote unquote doctors. I didn't verify any of this online. It's Twitter. I assume they're all credentialed and
I'm a doctor
on the up and up.
Twitter.
But there's people saying like 3 months, like coming back this season seems like the absolute dream best case scenario for Joe Burrow. Like that's not even a guaranteed he's coming back. That's if surgery goes well. That's if there isn't anything else wrong with that toe. Like turf toe is a big deal. It sounds like nothing important. But it's ligament damage. It's a lot. He can't walk. He can't push off on it. There's a lot he can't do right now. And to just assume there's like a handful of games he's going to miss for this team, like, I don't know. I think he might be gone for the rest of the year. I guess my question is can we officially classify Joe Burrow as like an injury case? Can we just do that now? Like this is the best ability is availability. And unfortunately for Joe Burrow, he spent a lot of his life in football being unavailable. This goes all the way back to when he was at Ohio State before he even transferred to LSU in college. He had injury concerns. And now you look at it now as a pro, I will give his rookie year a pass because that's just like a freak accident. But like he's an injury case, and he's an injury case. And if you do your due diligence as an NFL team, you know this already, and yet you still refuse to invest in the offensive line in totality. And I just don't get it.
Well, I'm glad you're bringing this up. Yes, I think if anybody knows anything about Joe Burrow, yeah, he is an injury case. And the fact that the Bengals have not invested in trying to build a phenomenal O-line around him to prevent this situation from happening, which this isn't new to the Bengals. I mean, Joey B has missed a plethora of time with the Bengals alone, and that's not even taking his college into consideration. And the other thing that's kind of interesting to me is kind of like what we were talking about with Tua last year with the Dolphins. You have a quarterback who is largely unavailable. And so why are you not investing in a really good backup quarterback? Jake Browning looked freaking terrible. And I'm not, look, a backup quarterback is, as we mentioned, I think before the show started or right when the show started, the league wants to get into more games, right? Why are you not investing more into a good, competent backup quarterback, knowing that you're going to have some situations in which your quarterback's potentially not going to be available? So it kind of goes in tandem where I'm like, you're not investing in the O-line, and your QB2 is not good, and they're already shopping around trying to get somebody like Malik Willis from the Packers because there is issues, and they know that Jake Browning is not great, and they know that they have problems. So those are kind of the things that came to mind for me. And this is a huge blow. I mean, they still have weapons. So like, how do you see? I mean, obviously Jamar is still on the field. T is another injury concern that is on again, off again. They've got Chase Brown. I mean, what does this outlook of this team look like without Joey B? Are they still playoff contenders, or do we fade them into the void?
I mean, it's really hard to confidently consider them a playoff contender at this point. I mean, it's sort of two things are true at once, though. I think Joe Burrow in his career has been sort of elevated by the weapons around him. I think that's definitely true. But I also think that Joe Burrow is an elite quarterback. And when you eliminate an elite quarterback from a roster, like, it almost doesn't matter who else is on the roster. Like, you have to expect a massive dip in production. And we also have to remember that this team was only good last season because they had one of the best offenses in NFL history. Right. Yeah. This is a team that missed the playoffs. Like I say, they're good last season. They missed the playoffs, despite the fact that Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase were doing everything that they could to win games, and they were putting up 40 points and losing games. Without Joe Burrow, that's not going to happen. So unless this defense decides, they need to switch their mentality and become amazing, it seems like the Bengals are screwed. And I feel really bad for Bengals fans. But Alan's right. I mean, this is a case of it sucks for Joe Burrow. It sucks that this happened, but This is we almost have we saw last season where he stayed healthy all season and played really well, and we just kind of forgot. We forgot. Yeah. But this is the norm of Joe Burrow's career.
Okay, a few things. One, this is why as like NFL fans or as like GMs or coaches, you don't take for granted what you have. Like you wasted, I feel like, a perfect opportunity to go win a Super Bowl if you're the Bengals last year with how they played. Like, that offense was going to beat anybody. If you invested any little bit into the defense, I know it's a double-edged sword because maybe their offense wouldn't have been as good, but this is why you need that balance. And this is where I always kind of like thinking about this. I go back. If let's say you got rid of Jamar Chase or Higgins, you pick which one you want. And let's say he only gets one of those wide receivers to move forward with. I still think if you take that money and reinvest it somewhere else, they still can get to a Super Bowl. Like, you don't have to invest that heavily in it. But now you're losing your quarterback. Now he's gone, what is this, year 5, year 6, and like, how long are NFL careers? So now what? You're like, I feel like you're wasting a generational talent, kind of throwing darts in any direction, just trying to make this work. Like, if I'm a Bengals fan, I'm just pissed at the ownership. I'm pissed at the GM. I'm pissed at what they want to invest in, because Joe Burrow.
Are you mad at Joe Burrow?
No. Joe Burrow plays his ass off. Like none of these things he's doing. It's not like he was speeding or he got hammered and drove a car into a wall and broke both of his legs. Like that might be his bad.
We could forgive him if he does something like that.
That might be his bad. He buys that Batman car and like flies it off a cliff or some shit. Like that might be his bad. This is just. I mean, he's luckily last year he stayed alive. I think it's you just can't bank on that year in and year out. You have to protect your biggest asset, and for the Bengals, it is Joe Burrow. And they're just not doing it. They're just not doing it. I don't know if they're just listening to Joe, being like, "Hey, just keep signing wide receivers." But at some point, you got to do something. And this is just unfortunate for this team for him to go out yet again. The
sad thing for me is I still don't think that they'll realize that, because they didn't. Yeah. This is not the first time, right?
Well, the owner's cheap, so
yeah,
that's not a big shock. But
yeah, no, I don't think it will. It still will hit home for them, even with the departure of Joe, which I tend to agree. I mean, it's looking like he's probably not going to be around for this season, which sucks. I mean, that sucks because it's good football when he's on the field. And were you going to say something, Scotty?
Yeah, I mean, somebody put it on our X.com account. Best place for football information, by the way. Go follow us on X. But love the old consideration of Kirk O'Chains heading over to Cincinnati.
I was the one who put that on there. I will step in front of the gun on this one. It's a good thought experiment. It's not going to happen. I mean, it's not, because Kirk Cousins is going to be way too expensive, and I know that. It was just more for fodder than anything else. And like, what if? I like that as a fit. I think that that could be fun, but the Bengals already, Alan just said it. Their front office is cheap as hell. They're not going to want to go sign Kirk Cousins, and they're not going to want to have to pay the money that the Falcons are currently paying him. Nobody is. And that's why I think the unfortunate reality is Kirk Cousins is going to ride on the bench for the Falcons all season long.
Yeah, but this is the exact situation that we sort of concocted in our imaginations for the only way that Kirk Cousins doesn't ride the bench. Is there's a team that feels like they can compete right now. Sure. They lose their quarterback.
Yeah.
I think Browning might be okay, though. I think Browning might be serviceable enough.
And he's got a smoking hot girlfriend or wife or whatever.
I haven't seen his girlfriend. Is she pretty good looking?
Oh, it was from like 2 years ago when he subbed in for
assuming
Joey
they're still together.
They showed her in the box. Remember when Joey B gave her his box, which was really nice of him to just be offering up his box to everybody. But yeah, she was up there and they showed her on camera and she was smoking hot.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, she's
are
very
they still
good
together?
looking.
Confirm.
I can't confirm it.
Is she a model or something?
I think Browning will be okay. I'm not saying Browning is going to be all pro, but I'm just saying I think he might keep this team more afloat than we think. I think they're still going to score points, but the problem is, and this is the problem, is that their defense is going to keep giving up points.
Yeah, so and you're asking him to put the team perfect. On the bag. Yeah,
no, he has to go be Joe Burrow for the rest of the year. That's not.
But even if he is Joe Burrow, it doesn't matter. As we saw last year, Joe Burrow was the best version of Joe Burrow ever that we saw last year. They still missed the playoffs.
Could you imagine if they signed a golden retriever to be there?
Okay, a golden retriever and Kenny Pickett together.
Which one would you rather start, Air Bud or Kenny Pickett?
Air Bud. I think Kenny Pickett is a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
But Air Bud's hands are probably bigger.
That's true.
I mean, by that, I mean, yeah.
That's true. Well, so we've been talking about Joey B. It's a sad story. I also want to talk about the Jaguars because this to me, I have never been, and I don't think I will ever be impressed with Trevor Lawrence. As a guy who. The NFL media was really running with this narrative of this is a prove-it year for Trevor Lawrence, right? Like they've done a lot to surround him with talent, being Brian Thomas Jr. Mm-hmm. They paid a lot to get Travis Hunter. They paid him a lot of money to be their starting quarterback. I haven't seen it, gentlemen. I mean, he's over 2 weeks. He's 43 for 73. He has a 58.9% completion rating, 449 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. So, I mean, this team does have an embarrassing amount of drops. I don't want to take that away from Trevor Lawrence. Like he is hitting his targets more often than not, and they're dropping it. So I guess you can't really, point at him and say he's the problem. But I don't think he's the solution. He doesn't have that it factor, and I have not been impressed with the Jaguars through 2 weeks. As a team that was supposed to be like humming at full speed and have a lot of firepower, it's been rather lacking. And especially when you have 3 interceptions in a game, there's no reason you should lose that game. I mean, there really isn't. With Jake Browning threw 3 picks and they still lost the game. That's really problematic for me. And, Brian Thomas Jr., there was a lot going on about Trevor Lawrence throwing hospital balls and he's deciding not to catch them. It was. I mean, it was terrible. Brian Thomas Jr. has had a lot of drops. I don't know. I was expecting more from this team with Travis Hunter there, and it really hasn't come to fruition. I haven't seen like this offense really humming and clicking at a rate that I think a lot of people were expecting.
Yeah, I mean, just like any other team we've talked about, somebody has to go make a fucking play at some point. Like, the quarterback can only do so much. Somebody actually has to go make a play, and they're not doing that for Trevor. He's not doing that for himself. He's arguing with Liam on the sideline. They're he's waving him off. Like, there's a lot of things to not like about what's going on with the Jaguars, but I wouldn't put that all on Trevor Lawrence. I think he's a big component of it. Again, I mean, still to this day, the biggest thing with Trevor Lawrence is what he was built up to be before he even entered the NFL. Like, that's, I feel like, the biggest thing working against Trevor Lawrence. Because if he doesn't come in with all of that, and most number one overall picks do, but like, everybody was saying like, he's going to revolutionize the quarterback position. This is it. Like, he's the next big thing. And it hadn't happened. And I had some family over yesterday. We were just talking about this. It's like, if you look at the ultra successful quarterbacks, like right now, you have like, Mahomes was probably a better baseball player for most of his life. Josh Allen came from Wyoming, had a terrible rookie season, like then turned out. It's like, you just don't know. You don't know. And I think for somebody like Trevor Lawrence, I don't know if this is kind of it. This might be kind of it for him. I think this is just it for him. I just don't think he's gonna turn into what they want. I think because he came in with that billing, everybody's like, well, maybe it'll happen.
And I don't want to like overshadow all of the problems that the Jaguars have faced either. And I've touched on this before.
That he's had a new head coach every single year of his NFL career.
Correct, and maybe that's why he's waving Liam Cohen off, is because he just doesn't respect any of his head coaches because they all just come and go. Yeah. It's like the step parent.
I've been here way before you, and I'll be here way after you, kid. Like, you better watch who you're talking to.
And so, like, that sucks. But once again, I'm kind of at the point where it's like, shit or get off the pot, man. Like, I get it. You've had a bunch of different head coaches. It's been a clusterfuck at the Jags. I understand all that. But I still haven't seen it. I have not seen it.
This is the thing that all NFL fans are guilty of, which is, we look at something on the field and we say that's the whole story. But it's not the whole story. Alan made a good point there with, like, the best quarterbacks in the league right now are, like, people that weren't necessarily so hyped up to be the best of the best. And it just goes to show that talent is not everything. There's situation plays just as big of a factor in someone's success as a player. Which is why all the time you see Baker Mayfield's a great example. You put him in the right situation, and bam! All of a sudden, this guy is really, really good, and he can have a lot of success. And Trevor Lawrence has just been in maybe the worst situation, one of the worst situations in the NFL, where he's just getting head coach carousel. If Trevor Lawrence was brand new head coach the first time, you'd say, well, they just need to gel. Like, they need just some time to gel. They need to get on the same page. It'll come with time. And then the next year he gets a new head coch. Oh, they just got to gel. And the next year they get a new head coach. Like, they never have time to actually get that. Now, I'm not defending Trevor Lawrence because, what have we seen to make us have faith in him? We haven't seen anything yet. But it is also true that maybe if you pick Trevor Lawrence up and plop him in the right scenario, he could be a great quarterback. It's just not the case.
Well, and you said that, and then I started thinking, like, what situation would come to mind for me where he would find success? And there were a couple teams that I could think of there. I'm like, I would get behind that argument. If Matt Stafford retires and he goes and plays with Sean McVay, I think that could be really well for him. If Kevin O'Connell took him, I think the Vikings would look a lot better than they did. So I think there's certain situations in a vacuum where you could make that argument, and I would get behind it. So but I still just haven't seen that it factor from him, and maybe that's largely due to what you just mentioned as far as just the constant rotation of not only just the coaches but the players. I mean, he's playing with new guys every single year. Where's Christian Kirk? Where is Calvin Ridley? Like, those were guys that he was playing with years ago, and now it is a completely new group. So there's probably a little bit more ground. Maybe I am just a Sarah Jessica Parker hater. Actually, I am. I think I am. Okay, let's talk about the battle of which team sucks more, being the Patriots and the Dolphins. Patriots win this game 33-27. Close divisional game. The Patriots, they struck early, they kept responding. Dolphins showed fight, but they, made some key mistakes, including both interceptions and penalties late in the game. Swung back to the Patriots. So, Patriots got the win in what was actually kind of an exciting finish, but where I'm going with this, gentlemen, is what week does Mike McDaniels get fired? Because it feels like it's inevitable at this point.
Before we get into that, I want to say I'm sorry. We have
It's
been
okay.
doing a
It's
parlay
okay. No,
the
it's
last
okay.
2
It's
weeks.
okay.
I want to say this publicly. We've done a parlay the last 2 weeks, and I picked the Dolphins this week as part of that parlay. And I know I wasn't the only contributor to the downfall of that parlay, but I will say I'm sorry. In my mind's eye, I was like, they're going to figure this thing out at home. They'll turn it around. They'll score some points, and they're better than the Patriots. I was wrong. I don't think they're better than the Patriots anymore. So I'm sorry, but the Patriots. I mean, Patriots
look at the team
good,
on paper,
which is
though.
not
Look
good.
at the team. Look at the Dolphins team on paper. They should be good, right?
Yeah,
like
if you picked them up in Madden right now, you'd be sitting pretty good.
correct. Yeah, because it's Madden, and you don't have Mike McDaniels as the play caller. It's you, and maybe that actually would be beneficial for you. It's okay, Alan. I forgive you. I understood where you were at mentally when you chose.
Appreciate it. It almost worked
the
out.
Dolphins. It almost did.
worked out.
And
For
I
a
was
second there, I was like, whoa.
I was
Drop
watching that game, and I was like, is Alan not going to be the
No.
detriment to this parlay?
I was.
Unfortunately, you weren't the only one, though, so
I
it
know,
is
I know.
what it is.
I would have felt worse if I was.
It's okay. We all forgive you. Mike McDaniels, though, I do not forgive. And I've been kind of out on Mike McDaniels ever since we got to see Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
That's really what showcased to me that this is not the guy that this organization needs. And we've had this conversation multiple times here on the show, but for anybody who is just tuning in, go watch the Hard Knocks Dolphins from years ago, because I think it perfectly encapsulates who Mike McDaniels is, and it's somebody who is not a leader of men. And I want to talk about his pressers for just a moment, because I think that I gave him a lot of grace and was like, oh, he's just like a funny guy that's like, I'm not going to answer your questions. And no, I think that's just who he is. And like, if you watch his last presser when they were like asking him about this game specifically, he was like, well, that's what you gotta win the game. And when you're losing the game, you gotta not give up the ball, and you gotta win the game. And I was just like, what am I watching? Like, I mean, it literally, he's already on the hot seat. He was already on the hot seat coming into this season. He's gone, right? Like, I mean, there's no doubt in our minds.
It's just
he's
win
gone.
now. It's just win now. They have to. He's lost the locker room.
Yeah,
It's
they had
time
a
to
players
move on.
they had a players meeting without him after the week 1 loss, and he's like, I don't know what was said in there.
I feel like we need to
That's the
really
best.
drill. How do you have a players meeting
week one players meeting.
What
You
the
just
fuck?
got out of camp.
But that actually goes to
All
show,
right,
like
guys.
we've been talking about this problem since Hard Knocks, and clearly the locker room also is aware of this problem. For well before this year, like it's been a constant conversation where they're calling a players only meeting that early. I'm looking at their schedule. When does he get fired? Okay, so they play the Bills next.
Ooh, this is fun.
Then the Jets, then the Panthers, Chargers, Browns. I think he's going to get fired sometime in the next 5 weeks. The Bills, I think they're expected to lose. The Jets could be interesting. If they go in there and just get mollywopped by Justin Fields, he might be gone.
I've looked into my crystal ball on this one. It's after the Chargers game, because the Dolphins will lose to the Chargers.
Yeah.
And I think, like, being a realist and looking at the situation, the likelihood that you beat the Bills is so low that ownership has to know that, right? Like, you're not going to sit there and be like, we could win this one, because
They have the overseas game too coming up, middle of the season. So
maybe they
They're
leave
gonna
him
do the
there.
thing.
They leave
They're
him
gonna
there.
do the
they're
thing
gonna
where
do
they
it.
leave
They're
him
gonna
there.
do it there.
No.
Yeah, they're gonna be like.
That's what they
sorry,
did to
you're-
Doug Peterson, right? That where they're like, yeah, you're fired.
No, he should have gotten fired. And
He
we
should
wanted
have
him to
gotten
get fired.
then.
And
We
they
wanted him to
didn't.
do it then.
Yeah.
They should do it then. They should do the thing. They should do the thing then. I just thought of something cool. The Dolphins should try, because you just said you playing Madden is probably better than Mike McDaniel. They should literally just have like somebody from home calling plays, like Madden style, like clicking the button.
Like,
that goes into Tua's headset.
All fans watch, and they get to vote on like 4 plays, and whichever it's like the old get to vote on the name of the tugboat thing, and it was like swirling.
Yeah, they
like,
should do
whatever.
that. Yeah, like triple reverse gets thrown out there. Like, yeah, this is actually sick though, because I'm participating now. That actually might do a lot for them if they get to call those plays. I don't know.
It very well
An
could.
idea.
It very well could. No, I like it. Do you think that, like, I mean, it seems like, and I'd have to go back and watch old pressers from Mike McDaniels, because he's always been kind of a weird guy. Do you think he's just given up? Like, do you think that he knows, like, he's not going to be here, and so he's like, I don't give a shit? Like, that seems to be the mentality that I see from him.
I honestly think he's just sort of vindictive a little bit, and it's I'm not a psychologist or psychiatrist or whatever, but it's not surprising that he would feel that way, given the fact that he was given this opportunity to lead this team, and we can see the response that he's getting from the guys that are supposed to be like respecting him. And when you're disrespected over and over again every single day, like once things start going bad and you know things are going bad, like it's very easy to fall into some sort of despair and just be like, well, okay, well, fuck you guys then. Like, I'm done. I'm over it.
Yeah, no. And you know, we were talking about, you know, teams that need wide receivers. Being the Titans, and you look at Tyreek Hill, and that's been in conversation. Is, you know, the Dolphins had said like, yeah, we'd potentially be interested in moving him. No teams have called. No teams have called for Tyreek Hill, and I think that's pretty, you know, apparent of who Tyreek Hill is, and the problems. Well, you know, he's got another domestic violence assault against a violation or allegation against him, and so it's like
he gets so many strikes now. He's gotten so many domestic disputes. He's like on a strike system with the state.
We know you're going to do it a couple times, Tyreek, but just reel it in.
You can do it twice, but the third one, we're going to get you. I think part of the problem with calling Miami is the like relocation package you'd have to do with Tyreek Hill for all his kids. You'd have to pay for all that. You'd be like, damn it.
You have to send a Greyhound
like
bus
8
to his
U-Hauls.
house.
Yeah.
8 U-Hauls, a school bus.
Hire a full-time person for daycare at the facility.
Yeah, I don't know if you want the logistical nightmare that would be. I think the thing for Mike McDaniel highlights, like, because you're going back to how quirky he is. I think quirky's okay if you're winning.
Yes.
Like Nick Saban when he was with Alabama. He's an asshole. But it was okay because he was winning.
Yeah.
And now Mike McDaniel, he's quirky with the Dolphins. You're not winning.
Oh, same thing with Dan Campbell.
Nobody's going to listen to that shit. Yeah.
Everyone laughed at Dan Campbell biting kneecaps. Then they started winning, and everyone's like, oh, that's sick. Okay. That's so sick. It's never been sick, but he's just winning.
Well, yeah. But now even if he were to lose, enough time has passed, and we've kind of seen what he's built, where, like, you got to give him the green, like, you got to give him the pass.
That's true, because when you compare, you know, someone like Dan Campbell to Mike McDaniel, it's like, okay, Dan Campbell's got a resume. What is the resume in Miami? So
he came from Kyle Shanahan's system, and he was finding success there.
But there's no resume for him as a head coach. They've had no success there. No. His resume is we signed a guy who is like a mad risk for concussions, and we won one game against the Broncos by a lot. Like, that's it.
I guess I would say there's precedent for coordinators not being good CEOs, which is the head coach, right? Like maybe there just doesn't work out. Like as Chiefs, Spagnuolo was not a great head coach. Decent defense coordinator, and he came back and he's doing okay then. I think there's a spot in the NFL for Mike McDaniel still. Like, I think if he can just focus on one side of the ball, you can pick him up, you can be an OC and just do what he does best and doesn't have to worry about all the other shit. I think that would suit him much more. He
has to stop dressing like a fucking douchebag. Because you can't do that. You can't do that as a coordinator. You can't show up and dress like
joggers.
Like he looks like he sells cocaine
looks like he's in GQ.
Downtown Miami. Like,
yeah, he looks like he just got fired from Planet Fitness. Or like smelling the seats that girls are working out on. You know what I mean? Like that was his whole stick at Planet.
Yeah.
He just got canned.
He's gotta wear like a quarter zip and maybe get some normal glasses and get a haircut, and then he'll be successful. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe he does all those things and he's back in business.
Yeah. I do think there is a spot for him in the NFL, but not driving your culture, not trying to lead a team of men. I think that maybe that just lead him to the X's and O's, which honestly has not even been great for him at Miami, to be quite transparent. I mean, like we've had this conversation before where it seems like they have a game plan. They can't deviate from that game plan when things don't go their way. And that seems to be a huge problem for him. And now the question then becomes, is it him? Is it the players? Is probably a medley of both. But that's where I see this team constantly struggle.
So weird because you got Waddle, you got Hill, you got A-Chain, you got Tua. I mean, say what you want about Tua. Like, he's still serviceable.
I would say serviceable is a good term for him.
Like, you think you give him I don't know. It's just so odd to me. I don't know.
You don't think he's serviceable, Scotty?
He's looked really bad.
But he's also looked good. Like, that's the thing is, like, if Tua was a rookie, like, we would be, and we'll talk about JJ McCarthy in a little bit, but like, if Tua was a rookie and he was coming out here, we'd probably give him grace because he's a rookie. But we've seen what Tua has been able to do in the past. He's been able to ball. Has it been at a really high level? No, but I think serviceable is a good way to put him, where he's not good. He's not bad. He's playing bad right now, but we've seen him play games in which he's been usable for that team and that organization.
Well, here's the last thing I'm sure we're ready to move on from Miami, but if I am in the front office there, I am definitely 110% getting rid of the coaching staff before getting rid of Tua, because you can definitely
financially you're locked into him.
I understand, but like just even best case scenario, we've already seen Tua struggle with like his own confidence. Like when he gets down on himself, he gets down on himself. In fact, that's one of the things that maybe you could put on Mike McDaniel's resume. Like, okay, he built up Tua, but when things are going really bad, you can really see Tua kind of take a nosedive, and maybe he's just someone who kind of snowballs, and like you just need a change. You need someone to uplift him, and he just needs that change and just someone to come in and say, "Hey, you're good," and maybe someone different now than the current coaching staff, and maybe he'll come back. But he's been playing bad enough now that it's really making everyone come around to what we've been saying and what lots of people have been saying for a long time, that contract was a big mistake.
Yeah. Okay, let's go into our ad break here, and then we will continue the football conversation.
Whoa, guys, wrong turn. This is BK.
Whopper Jr.'s just $1.
Flame broil, fresh off the grill.
But I've got these tiny hands, and that big burger's gonna make them look even tinier. What if we all just turn our backs while you eat? Let's do this.
Whopper Jr., only $1. Big flame fresh taste, only at Burger King.
Now, obviously, Whoppers are no longer $1.
I was gonna say, are those prices accurate?
No,
That commercial's
but BK,
only a decade old.
Yeah, but BK did sponsor us for this podcast, and we do have to shout out the barbecue brisket Whopper. So go over to Burger King today and get yourself a barbecue brisket Whopper. I've had 3 of these bad boys in the last week, and they are absolutely delicious. If you are not eating Burger King, they are flame broiled to perfection, and certainly outpace the competitors. So go check out the barbecue brisket Whopper from Burger King. We appreciate you keeping the lights on. Thank you, Burger King. All right, let's go over to Cardinals Panthers. I admittedly didn't have this on the docket, so whoever put this on here and wants to chat about these teams, take the mic.
I just don't think that there should ever be a time where we don't talk about our teams. We need to talk about our teams. People care about what you think about your team. Are you thinking Super Bowl? What's going on?
No, I'm not. I'm not thinking Super Bowl. The Cardinals are 2-0. I'm not going to sit here and apologize for the wins, but I was expecting this. I expected us to come out of the gate. I think there is a real opportunity where we could go 6-0 to start the season just because of our schedule. Now, as far as the team play, no. I'm not. In fact, I'm pretty disappointed with the team play. The Cardinals won this game 27-22, and I was on the edge of my seat because it was like 27 to I think 9 going into the fourth quarter, and we freaking blew it. And our offense still is not where it should be. This is the second year with Marvin Harrison Jr. I was expecting a lot more from not just him, but from Kyler Murray and this offense in general. We're starting to see Trey Benson get worked in there and kind of become a timeshare with James Conner, which I'm excited about because obviously with James's age, it's gonna, we got to find the next James Conner, next running back, and I think Trey Benson could be that. He's getting worked in the passing game. It's great. Our defense. Really, I just watched this game and I was like, what the hell's going on here? Like, we are legitimately potentially about to lose this game. And the Panthers were driving at the very end. It didn't happen, which I was really happy about. The refs in this game, I wanted to fly out to Arizona and beat the living shit out of because these refs were absolutely atrocious. And they really, honestly, in that last drive, kept the Panthers in the game. And so I don't know how much the Panthers were paying them for that. But I'm not going to apologize for the wins. I think that given the division where the 49ers are currently at, I don't love the Seahawks as a team. I think we could potentially make a wild card push, if not win our division. But that doesn't make me excited about the Cardinals and their current performance right now. So that's my take on the Cardinals. I'm trying to be a realist here. There were some things I liked, but there were a lot more things that I was not happy with. So that's my mentality towards the Cardinals as of this moment.
Is that what we should call this Sunday the Ref Show? I feel like every game had something come out of it where you're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
I was thinking about this morning, and this is not specific to this game because I won't talk about your team, but you do know I have a vested fantasy interest in the Cardinals, and I'm not too happy about my return.
Yeah.
The NFL has to /love the controversy of the refs making the wrong calls.
Yeah, because people talk about it.
Exactly. people are talking about these games that largely they wouldn't necessarily care about these little outcomes. But I think the refs make it so interesting. And I think that is such a weird dynamic of the NFL and all of us as fans that like eat it up in betting and all of that. Like, part of me tries not to spiral into some like giant conspiracy theory, but I'm like, okay, they control the refs. The refs are obviously getting paid by the NFL. The refs are doing whatever the NFL is telling them to do. You know, this isn't like some neutral third party that's out here. Like, they obviously have the NFL's best interest at heart, and there's a gambling component, and there's all this stuff. Like, part of me like really is like, it's hard to ignore the little things when they stack up. And that's coming as a Chiefs fan. Even last year, it's like, man, I don't know. I mean, we just said it. You don't apologize for the wins. You just kind of move on. But, you know, at some point you're like, okay, this is an entertainment industry and we're watching this thing and we're all like, you know, fighting tooth and nail for like certain things. And it just seems very obvious that there's certain outcomes or certain things that happen. You're like, oh, okay. Well,
yeah, but
whatever. What are you gonna do?
Here's a little bit of wisdom for life in general, including NFL fandom. Never attribute to malice what you can better attribute to stupidity. Because human beings are fucking dumb, and we screw up a lot. So more than likely, people just screw up. That's way more likely than some deep-rooted conspiracy where people are changing the outcomes of games. And that's just,
you
it's
say
not
that,
happening.
but the next game we're going to talk about is going to really make everybody question that. Is there anything else we wanted to cover on the Cardinals-Panthers?
Your team, you cover. You're good.
Okay, all right. Let's move on. The war of horses, gentlemen. The Colts versus the Broncos.
Ooh.
You were talking about the refs. I mean, there were a lot of controversial ref things that happened this week, and this was the icing on the cake. This was the number one thing that everybody is pointing to and saying, "What the fuck was this?"
Yeah.
So I mean, their kicker hit a 45-yard game winner as time expired, which was saved by a Denver penalty after he missed what was like a 60-yard field goal. So it gave him one more opportunity. There was no time left on the clock. He missed, and then a flag was thrown onto the field. In my mind, this is complete bullshit. They missed the field goal, and then they threw the flag. It was a conglomeration of what just happened. And I watched this game live, and I'm just like, as soon as they're like, wait a minute, I think there might be a flag on the field, I go, no fucking way.
It was
no fucking way.
The call. If I'm a Broncos fan, which I'm obviously not, I'm very opposite of a Broncos fan, but if
Sure.
I am a Broncos fan, I am setting something on fire because of how pissed off I am of what just happened. If I had to watch that, the leverage call for that was unreal because the line naturally pinches in the middle. So naturally everybody's going to convene in that one spot. And the center is literally like head down, basically digging a hole like a mole underneath everybody. And like, oh, they use them as leverage. What the fuck are they supposed to do? Like, everybody is smashing right to that center point. It's not like anybody at the very beginning was using leverage or like stepped on his head to like jump over. Like, that would be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It felt like just such like a, well, it was kind of, it's like saying you could call holding on every play.
Which
like,
you could. You genuinely
do it
could.
on every play. And so, I don't know. It was just it was just one of those very convenient moments, I felt like.
Yeah, it was very obviously not in the spirit of what that rule is for. Like, that rule is designed to keep players from like jumping off the back of the center to try and block the field goal. Like, if you just lean on him, nobody's gonna die. Okay, like, it's not a big
And
deal.
also, it didn't affect the kick at all.
Right.
Like, genuinely.
It was a very
Nobody
stupid
tipped it.
call. But again, it's stupidity. The refs do stupid shit,
ridiculous.
and sometimes it happens in the big moments. In fact, it happens in the big moments all the time, but those are the ones that we specifically talk about because they're big moments. So it seems like it happens more often than it does, but it's just a stupid call, and it happens. And guess what? I hate the Broncos, so I don't give a
like
shit.
this version of Scotty, just very wise. And
He's always
stoic.
been the old wise. He usually
he's
just
like
has he's like a curmudgeon most times, but he's fired up.
I'm on blood pressure medicine now, so I'll be
it's like
listening.
it's like if Buddha had a mustache. You know what I mean? Just,
Yeah,
Amen.
and also ate a lot more cheeseburgers. But he's talked about his health journey here, so he can't do that.
I'm cutting back.
Yeah.
There you go.
There were a couple things aside from the refs that I wanted to talk about in this game, namely Daniel Jones. I mean, golly, he went 316, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. Jonathan Taylor was freaking dominant with another 200 yards and a touchdown on the ground. So the question I really have is Daniel Jones like maybe the real deal? And the NFL media all offseason was making a complete mockery of the Colts organization with the quarterback battle between him and Anthony Richardson, and this team's going to be shit regardless. And when they chose Daniel Jones, everybody's like, oh, yay, you guys have saved everything. But then you look at this game, And obviously it could have went either way, and the refs really had a hand in that. But we talked all offseason about how good the Broncos defense was and how good the Broncos defense is going to be. And Daniel Jones, over the last 2 weeks, has looked good. So, I mean, is he the solution here? Was it a poor Giants organization that led to his downfall?
I'd like to jump in right there,
yeah,
actually.
Go ahead.
I've got a tough pill for me and you to swallow, Slapdog.
Yeah,
because how many times have you and I specifically said, it's not Brian Dable's fault. It's not Brian Dable. Brian Dable's, it's not the problem. Well, then Daniel Jones goes to a new organization and looks like the next coming of Jesus Christ. So is it Brian Dable?
Is it Brian Dable? I'm wondering the same thing. I was wondering the same thing. I really was. And that's, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's something I've been struggling with, because I've been a Brian Dable believer, much like you. And we've said it's not Brian Dable, it's everything else. And then you see this happening and you're like, wait a minute. Am I wrong here? Like, is everything I thought just a fallacy and I'm an idiot and this is not true whatsoever and Brian Dable is the problem? And it looks like it could be, because Daniel Jones has looked like a really good, competent quarterback. Yeah. And the other thing to talk about here is, we can talk about Daniel Jones looking really well, but if you look at him when he was with the Giants, and this is where, the tidbit of, and maybe this is my optimism or maybe me trying to save myself mentally here a little bit. The Giants also didn't have a lot of weapons for Daniel Jones. And if you look at this Colts team, he has weapons, which, I mean, aside from Saquon Barkley and, whatever wide receiver they found on the side of the street, they didn't have a lot with the Giants. And so I don't know if maybe that comes into play a little bit more in this argument as well. I mean, Tyler Warren has looked absolutely incredible. You've got Jonathan Taylor. Alec Pierce is getting involved. Michael Pittman is still around. So, he's got weapons. And maybe that was the difference for him, where he just didn't with the Giants. And that's where I'm starting to question my narrative about Brian Dable, but that's the one thing where I can be like, okay, if I'm going to question that, well, then I also have to look at the other side of it. So does that hold ground a little bit for you guys, or is Daniel Jones the real deal and Brian Dable just is the problem?
I mean, a little bit of a little bit. I'm still not, obviously these numbers are wildly outside of the norm for Daniel Jones. If you look at the rating, his average, right now is like above 9, where he was never above even like 6 yards when he was with the Giants. So I think a lot of things he's doing are trending outside of the norm. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Maybe this is norm for him. I think the other indicator for me is he is not running it nearly as much purposefully like he did do with the Giants, which I felt like you saw Dable love to do with Josh Allen, and Josh Allen was largely built for that, and that kind of works. And I don't know if Daniel Jones was built for that for the long haul, and I don't know what that did to him over time or how he's reading the defense. I don't know. There's a lot that goes into that, but he definitely looks different. Now we have to see if he can sustain this difference over a long period of time. But I am like, if I'm a Colts fan, the one thing and you had just touched on it, is that Warren, Pierce, Downs, kind of that grouping that wasn't totally talked about a ton, but from a wide receiver perspective is like, okay, this actually, they look now loaded in that room where there's like a ton of pass catchers that can do something for them. And so I think having trusted weapons around you, I think you're absolutely hit the nail on the head. I think he just trusts everybody to do what they need to do. And then, you have, JT back there that can also go get you 4 yards when you need it. So there's a lot to love about this Colts team. It's, can they just keep it on the tracks? But this isn't like also the first time we've seen this in the NFL. We just saw this with Sam Darnold. And everybody's like, oh my God, is he actually good? Is he actually going to do okay? Does he have all the weapons? And then where it's actually where your rubber's going to meet the road is when he has to do it. When they're asking him to actually go put the team on his back to go get a drive, can he do it then? That is going to be the difference. Because we've kind of seen this before.
We've got an even more extreme example of it, and it was the Saints from last year. Remember when the Saints started out and they were just, every single player on that team was just fucking electric, and they put up like 70 points in 3 weeks, and then they sucked the rest of the season. And it's like you just sort of expect a return to normalcy at some point in time. And I tend to agree with that. I think that this is a team that can be competitive, but I don't expect them to be this good for the entire season. You don't expect Daniel Jones. I mean, we kind of know what Daniel Jones is, and he's one of those guys that we've seen him get hot, and we've seen him have good stretches. But at the end of the day, it's like, it's still Daniel Jones. At some point in time, this is going to come back to earth, I think.
See, and it's interesting because that's where, you mentioned Sam Darnold. I've never been sold on Sam Darnold. Even when he was with the Vikings, I was never sold on Sam Darnold. And I don't know what it is, but I'm starting to be like, I think Daniel Jones might might be, because the other thing that you have to sit here and look at is they need a quarterback. He's on a 1-year deal. And while we kind of, J.J. McCarthy was waiting in the shadows with Sam Darnold there, that's not the case. I mean, Anthony Richardson is there, but they already kind of, like, Anthony Richardson didn't get benched because he hurt himself. He got benched because Daniel Jones was just better. So in my mind, there could be, like, an opportunity for him to sign a longer-term contract and be this Colts quarterback for the foreseeable future if he continues to play like this. And I think that, potentially he could. And the other thing, as I mentioned at the top of this thing, is the Broncos defense is no slouch. Like, they're not, they're a very good defense.
That's the tell right there. Right there is the Broncos defense. If you think they're the same as they've been, like, that's actually pretty impressive as a team for them to come out and do that to them.
Yeah.
As a team still, I mean, say what you want about the rest of the guys on the team, but for Daniel Jones to have those, ingredients in his cupboard in week 2 to get that team, that's pretty impressive, I would say. And Bo Nix wasn't playing bad either. So there was, that team, Broncos looked good, and that was a good win, even though we question it, actually, how they got there. I mean,
well, and they beat the Dolphins 33-8 last week, and that's the other thing too. And that's what kind of is like, and obviously it's the Dolphins, but like this game, I expected the Colts to lose this game, and for them to come in and be a veteran elite defense, that also gives me some optimism that Daniel Jones may actually just be good, and it could have been a lot of other things that led to his failure.
How funny the NFL season can be after week 2, where like Colts are trending, Bengals not going to be in the playoffs. Like, if you told us that at the beginning of the season, like, hey, we're just going to tell you right now, the Colts probably going to be in the playoffs. Bengals, no. You're like, how the fuck did we get there?
Well, let me just tell you guys the next 4 games for the Colts. It's the Titans, the Rams, the Raiders, and the Cardinals. They could legitimately be like 6-1 to start this season, and I think that's not a crazy after these 2 weeks of play.
Yeah.
I don't think that's absurd to say.
Yeah, before the season, if you were looking at these schedules, you're like, oh, people should beat up on the Colts this year. And now you're looking at it like, oh, just kidding. That's going to be a tough game for them. Like all of these teams that now have to play the Colts. And I mean, they have a fairly decent schedule thereafter too. I mean, they get the Chiefs this year, obviously the Texans a couple times, but it's favorable for them. It's favorable.
It is. So like in looking in your crystal balls, Colts wildcard team? Are Colts going to the playoffs this year, either because they win the division or make wild card? Yes or no?
I think they could win the division, because Houston still seems erratic, and I know we're about to find out here in like right now. I think that game's getting ready to kick off.
Yeah.
But I don't see Jacksonville doing anything. We just talked about them. And then in Tennessee, they just lack playmakers. So it's really going to come down to the Colts in Texans in my mind. And
I think they could do it. I think they could win the division.
I think they're probably right now after week 2 more likely to win the division than they are to miss the playoffs. Like, if that's where you're kind of like teetering.
Yeah.
I think they're more likely to win the division. Yeah.
Scotty, yeah, or nay?
Yeah. I mean, we can only guess based on the information that we have, and through 2 weeks, they look pretty good. So
they do.
It's hard to bet against it.
All right, Chiefs, gentlemen, they start this season 0-2, bottom of the division. And obviously, we'll see what happens tonight. But regardless of the outcome for these teams, you still will be at the bottom of the division. Obviously, I mean, this is we knew this was going to be a tough game. This was a rematch of the Super Bowl this last year against the Eagles. There was a lot of things that I had in mind, but as I have famously said on last week's show, I will not be providing any notes about this game. I will not be talking about the Chiefs as the headliner. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys as the Chiefs fans. Go ahead.
Do you want me to go first, Scotty, or do you?
Well, first, I just want to say that Hunter, as a Chiefs hater, you can't chime in. You said you're not going to chime in. Hunter's a Chiefs hater, so he's just loving this right now. He's just so happy on the inside, just throwing a party for himself. He loves to see us sad. He loves to see us cry. That's just all he cares about.
This game comes down to Travis Kelce dropping and flicking a ball up into the end zone and it getting picked off. The Chiefs outgained the Eagles, which I would not have predicted going into this game before it started. They had the time of possession. They were holding the Eagles down pretty much. I mean, even Saquon, for as good as he was doing, still only rushed for 88 yards. I mean, the problem for the Chiefs is inconsistency and still making mental mistakes. If they clean that up, they beat the Eagles and they probably sit on the ball the rest of the game. That's probably what happens. This wasn't oh my God, it's more of the same. Oh my God, it's a blowout. Oh my God, their defense sucks, which some of the Sunday shows at night were saying like, oh, the Chiefs defense still haven't figured out. No, they held this team to like 200 yards of offense. This Eagles team that just put up 1 billion yards against the Cowboys and is largely still the same cast of characters on offenses they had last year. But it's just, I think that was probably one of the more, if you're a Chiefs fan, that's something to be like, okay, there's something there. The other side of it is what I just said. Still the mental errors. They're still making weird mistakes. Kelsey had a great game up until that drop. Literally, that was a 14-point swing, because the Eagles went down and scored. And then you're like, all right, they kind of have what they've been doing, and kind of how they've started all of these years. They've just kind of gotten wins out of it where they're not getting them now. The other thing I will say, taking away from this, Pat Mahomes cannot be the Chiefs' leading rusher. This team to be successful, and this is another week where he was running for his life. He even trucked somebody. He literally might die in the middle of the season trying to put this offense on his back.
I don't know if you ever watch when cable TV was still a thing, America's Funniest Home Videos was always playing, and you watch a whole compilation of dudes getting hit in the nuts by their kids with plastic baseball bats and stuff. And when you see that happen to a man, your instinctive reaction is just oh God, oh no, I don't like that. That's how I feel every single time Patrick Mahomes leaves the pocket. I'm like, please, for the love of God, sit down. Just go out of bounds. I don't even want him to get a first down. I would rather punt than watch you try and truck somebody. Please stop. It's week 2.
I will say for all the Chiefs haters, you can enjoy the 0-2 because you've had to sit here and watch 3 Super Bowls and some back-to-backs. So you can cash in and hang your banners for regular season wins.
I hold on. I guys still got a whole thing to talk about.
Go ahead.
I left this game feeling so much more optimistic than I did after week 1 because, there was still a lot of bullshit that was very stupid, and the Chiefs did not look like they were going to win a Super Bowl anytime soon. But my big concern after week 1 was our defense looked like, I don't know, someone hypnotized them all and they were completely different people and forgot how to play football. This week, they looked pretty good. And I agree with Alan. I was watching some of the post-game shows, and they're like, this defense still has stuff to figure out. I'm like, what the fuck? Did you watch the game? This defense was 100 times better than what we saw in week 1. And, we got to remember, this is a game that the Chiefs, if you take away 2 plays, when Travis Kelce just tossed the ball to the defense for no reason, and Mahomes,
the only turnover in the game.
Yeah, and Mahomes overthrew Thornton on the easy touchdown. The Chiefs were going to be up by double digits going into the last half of the fourth quarter. They lost this game because of 2 stupid, ridiculous plays. And for me, it's that's stupid and that sucks and that's annoying. But wow, do I feel so much better after this than I did week 1.
Yeah, if you told me before the game, Hurts isn't even going to get to 100 yards passing and the Eagles are going to average 3 yards a play, I'd be like, oh, okay, this is probably going away. The flip side of this, though, is this is how dangerous this Eagles team is because they can beat you in so many different ways. They can go out and step on your throat and get 400 yards of offense, or they can come out and get 200 yards of offense and still find a way to win. I think that's, if you look at championship teams, and the Chiefs did this last year and the year before, of they just know how to win. And once you're just in that mode of winning and you know how to win and you put teams away, you'll have these games where you're there's no reason they should have won that game, and they just do it. And that's, if you're an Eagles fan, you're just this is actually kind of cool because this is actually a bad game for us, and we still walked away with a win versus the Chiefs being damn it, we did pretty good and we still lost. So I think for Chiefs, I mean, you go into this Monday night game, Chargers, they beat the Raiders. You're okay, the Chargers fans now, the expectation goes up here for winning the division. And now it's now what do you do? Now what do the Chiefs do? I think the one team that probably benefited the most, and we'll see how this bears out over time, but Joe Burrow going out might actually benefit the Chiefs sneaking into a wild card spot, because now that team is going to trend down, and that was a team that's going to fall out that shouldn't have. And if you're going to tell me their main competition is going to be either the Texans or the Colts fighting for that wild card spot, if you're a Chiefs fan, you kind of take that. You're okay, given everything I know, we'll take that road now.
Yeah, and I'm still not totally sold that the Chiefs aren't going to be still a really, really, really good football team. I mean, we have to remember that their 2 best offensive players besides Patrick Mahomes aren't on the field. And we have to remember that this offense has historically just not been very good with as many healthy players on the field as possible. So there's no reason to not expect that this offense is going to take a big step forward as the season goes on. And if the defense is going to play like they did last week and get better throughout the season, this is still a team that should be favored in most of their games.
Okay, we good with the Chiefs?
We're good, baby.
All right, let's keep moving. F you, Ben Johnson. Those were the chants that were echoed in that Lion in Ford Stadium for the Lions. Ben Johnson, the former offensive coordinator for the Lions, is now the head coach for the Bears. And golly, gentlemen, what a slaughter this was for the Lions. They won this game 52-21. Jared Goff, we'll start with him, had an absolutely dominant game. 23 completions on 28 attempts, 334 yards, 5 touchdowns. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 9 catches, 115 yards, 3 touchdowns. Jameson Williams only had 2 catches, however, 108 yards, and including a 64-yard score. Jahmyr Gibbs also looked phenomenal, almost had 100 yards from the line of scrimmage. I mean, the Lions... we saw the Lions week 1 against the Packers. There was concern. We are a Bears podcast, so I do want to kind of state this before we go down this road. But Chicago really struggled, man. I mean, it was a competitive first half. We saw some flashes, but the Bears just couldn't sustain their drives. And it kind of showed. Caleb Williams, his stats through 2 games are 40 for 65, 417 yards, and 3 touchdowns to 1 interception, 61.5% completion rate. His longest throw of the year so far is 37 yards. So the Bears have given up 73 points in the last 5 quarters. As a Bears podcast, I have to ask you guys, are you starting to feel butterflies or a little bit of nervousness of some sort about what this Bears team could be? Because I know Bears fans were expecting, Ben Johnson to be the saving grace for this organization, and through 2 weeks against the Vikings and the Lions, it has not been the case for them. And this score was terrible, 21-52. That's not a good look.
Yeah, well, it's bad, but it's the Lions, and like I said last week, even though they had a tough week 1, it's still the best team in the division, still the most talented team in the division. And I actually specifically said last week that the Lions can put up 50 points on anybody. And then that happened the very next week.
They did.
The big concern, as that second stat that you read there shows, is the defense is the bigger problem. The defense for the Bears is very concerning because giving up 73 points in 5 quarters is brutal. And really, Caleb Williams he's looked pretty hit and miss. I mean, kind of as he did last year. Which is concerning, but it doesn't really matter how good you play if your defense is going to give up all those points in such a short period of time. Like, they got to
Joe Burrow is pretty comfortable with that last year.
Yeah, but if you gotta be like Joe Burrow and have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins on your team to still miss the playoffs, it's not a good recipe.
Sure.
No.
I mean, I don't know. To me, this is more telling of the Bears than the Lions. I had no concern. I had no real concerns with the Lions, and we touched on that last week. We said that the Packers look really good, and I think there's a very valid argument that the Packers will win this division. But the Lions are certainly in that conversation, and those are the 2 teams that I think are going to be vying for that spot. Really, some of the concerns that I've seen from a Bears perspective is Caleb Williams' inability to really push the ball down the field effectively. And I've watched both these games because we are a Bears podcast this season, and so I have a vested interest in making sure that our boy Caleb does well. And I still see a lot of like dink and dunk-esque plays. I still see him, 37 yards as far as long as completion. That's not terrible, but if you watch him play, it seems like he's constantly on panic mode. And he's not reading his defenses. He's not sitting in the pocket. He's not going through his progressions. And yes, he can move the ball with his legs. You can get outside the pocket, but he's not looking downfield. He's looking for those like quick dump offs, which is fine if it's working, but it's really not. And that's part of the problems that I see with the Bears here. So that's my concern with Caleb Williams. I'm hoping that as him and Ben Johnson build more rapport with each other, some of that can be coached out of him. But this is also, let's not just forget that not only is this new for Caleb Williams, this is a new quarterback archetype for Ben Johnson. I mean, Jared Goff and Caleb Williams are 2 very different stylistic quarterbacks in how they play the game. And so this is the first time Ben Johnson has had a mobile quarterback that can do different things for him, and trying to figure out how to coach that appropriately is a learning experience for him too. So, maybe that's the spin zone that I'm trying to, as a Bears podcast, trying to put on this. But I've seen some concerns.
Yeah, it looks like more of the same for the Bears, doesn't it?
It does.
It does. It just, even some of the mistakes they make and the plays they don't make, and it seems like more of the same. And it's tough showing for Ben Johnson through 2 weeks. I think if you're a Lions fan, the one thing I was thinking of was you probably just breathe a sigh of relief because you're like, okay, phew, we were actually still good. Because after that Packers game, the offense wasn't doing much. You're probably like, oh God, did we forget how to do this? And this is one of those get right games for them where like, okay, cool. We actually still can do what we need to do, like a shot in the arm for them. But it just, you look at this division and, it every time before we start the season, everybody's like, I don't know. It's loaded. We'll see who's going to be. Somebody's got to be at the bottom. And it's just tough look for us as a Bears podcast now where it's like, all right, can we not be in the basement again? Can we get out? Can we get out of the basement? And
they've won the offseason for the third straight offseason, and then we get into the real season and it starts to maybe not look that bad.
Well, I think we got to talk about winning the offseason too, because we say that. Like how many of the most recent Bears picks are doing anything on the field? Okay, you got Odunze, you got Caleb Williams, those are the high profile ones. What about any of the linemen? What about the defensive players? Like, are these good picks? Are they really winning the offseason, or is it just flashy? They just have early picks, and we just assume they're going to be good.
Yeah, and they lost Jalen, their best corner. He's going to be out for the year. He has to have groin surgery. It's just like a recipe for disaster for them. You're just like, damn it. Now we got to really rely on Caleb Williams. Now you just don't want to put pressure on the offense right away. And all they've done is put all the pressure on the offense right away.
Yeah. And there is one other thing I want to touch on, the fuck Ben Johnson chants that were happening at the Lions. Jared Goff was actually asked about this in a presser after the game. And, he stated that he didn't think that was cool. He said Ben Johnson did a lot for this Lions team. And so I want to pick your brains really quickly.
What a weird take. What a weird thing to say for fans at a game.
Yeah.
On one hand, Goff, the fans.
Ben Johnson did a lot for this organization and a lot for this team. However, on the other side of the coin, he did go to a division rival. So are we pro fuck Ben Johnson chance at Ford Field, or are we anti Ben Johnson fuck Ben Johnson chance?
What a weird look.
If you are the head coach to your rival, it's free game. If Andy Reid left the Chiefs and went to the Chargers, you better believe I would be screaming "fuck you" in the stands. That doesn't mean I don't love Andy Reid and don't respect him and appreciate everything he's done. But when you're in the Coliseum, man, everything's fair game, and it's a rival. It's a rival. Fans are going to be fans. It's supposed to be fun.
I just think it's weird that you pick out your OC leaving to go be the head coach, and that's the thing that you're. I don't know. It's so weird. What is he supposed to do? You got a better job.
There's also more to it.
If you're the line cook at McDonald's, but you got the GM job at Burger King, are you going to be like, no, sorry, I'm not going to take that. That's my rival. No, you're going to be like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm going to take that raise. I'm going to get some.
As a sponsor of ours, you best be going to Burger King. I mean, that's just a no-brainer.
I don't know. It's I get it, and it's fan. I mean, it's whatever. It's a game.
Yeah,
it's funny.
There's
it's
more to it than that,
funny.
though, because the Lions have heard all offseason that they're going to take this huge step back because Ben Johnson's no longer there, and they're trying to prove that they can still do it without this one guy. So, it's not just like, oh, one of our coaches left. It's like people were saying that this is the one reason that we are good, and we need to prove that that's not the reason. So you have a little bit more to it than just that.
That's why I kind of liked it, is because it was there's a lot more storyline there. That I would necessarily if I was a Lions fan and I was in the stands, would I be chanting that? Absolutely. Does it mean I actually mean it? No, because I would like.
It's fan behavior.
But it's you kind of got to lean into it a little bit. So I'm okay with it. Last thing here on this game is I've said this on the offseason, and I think it was going to depend on what it looks like, and I've really started to buy into this thought. Is I think DJ Moore is a prime trade candidate in my eyes. I think Odunze is starting to kind of supplant that wide receiver one role. As I mentioned before, I don't think Caleb Williams is really looking downfield, and you have Odunze in the slot more, and he's not really throwing to that outside wide receiver as much. He's kind of playing that dink and dunk game. I think Moore really isn't being utilized in this offense as much as his talent suggests that he should be. I think DJ Moore could be traded out of the Bears, and they could kind of look to get some rebuilding pieces in some other areas here by the end of the season, because there's teams that kind of need him. Yeah. I mean, the Titans were one that we were talking about earlier that kind of need some wide receiver help. I think there's an argument to be made that could be the case, and he might not be a Bear by the end of the season. Thoughts?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, I think the assets, they need defensive help bad. And I don't know if they go and actually get defensive help now, or they go get.
I mean, they signed Love, or they drafted Loveland and Luther Burden. Olamide Zacharias, or whatever his name is, has been used in this offense way more than I ever thought he would. And so, also say, I think that they have a aging asset at 28 years old, and I think that there is a chance that DJ Moore could be traded. So I'm just throwing that in the void, and we'll
it's something to keep an eye on. And desperate teams will do desperate things, so we'll see.
Well, the Chiefs certainly need it. I mean, the Chiefs do.
They do, but if Xavier Worthy was going to be out for an extended period of time, I think they probably would. He's supposed to be back next game. Like he was just sitting out this one, and then he's going to be back. And then you're 4 games away from getting Rashee Rice back. So
can we just rent him? Just rent him for a little bit?
You can, and then you can just trade him again to somebody else. Yeah.
I don't want to have to deal with that.
Okay, some recap questions here that I want to just pose to you guys and get your brains on, your thoughts on. Which hot start teams are real versus overhyped? So I've listed all the 2-0 teams here being the Cardinals, the Bills, the Bengals, the Packers, Colts, Rams, Eagles, and 49ers, all 2-0. Which teams are overrated and or overhyped after being 2-0?
Hyped and rated. So it's so funny. My aunt was over here and she's a Chiefs hater too. And she's like, the Chiefs are overrated. And I'm like, where are the rankings? How the fuck are they overrated? You actually don't even rate things. So this is funny to hear this. I think the low hanging fruit is probably somebody like the 49ers or the Bengals, seeing how they're trending with injuries where you're like, they're overhyped. I don't think anybody's necessarily overhyping them. I think they're 2-0 for a reason. They won those games, but I think the long-term outlook for both of those teams does look kind of sour. I would say probably the Colts. I think, and I know we just talked about them, and I know they do look good on paper, and I know they have all these options, but it's like I still am willing to bet that Daniel Jones is who he's been the majority of his career versus these weird outliers, or he's unlocked something. And I think that is where I would point to as far as overhyped.
You wouldn't say the Cardinals, genuinely. Like, not because I'm here, but like the Cardinals stand out to me as a team that I think being 2-0, I think it's just due to schedule.
I guess it's like a perceptive question, because I don't think anybody's like, oh, the Cardinals are the shit. But I think people are riding high on the Colts right now. You see it all over social media. You see it on the ESPN.com. You see it all over the place. Like they're like, oh my gosh, are we actually doing this? And I would say they are probably cemented right there right now.
Yeah, 100%. This list is made up of teams that are definitely on the downward trajectory.
I would say made up. I would say there are some
that I haven't finished the sentence yet. Made up of teams that are definitely on the downward trajectory. Then there are some that are definitely going to be good, and then there's one that's like, this is an outlier, and that's the Colts, because the Colts is like people they have the exact right mix of people who are like really, really surprised at how good they are, but also like, this isn't sustainable. Like that's why it's got to be them. I think nobody's overhyping the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals are just the Cardinals, and they've won a couple games. I don't think anyone's expecting too much.
Okay, all right. I would say the Cardinals. I think nobody's hyping them.
I get that. The 2-0 is saying like, it's almost like which of these things is not like the other. I could see somebody picking the Cardinals as well.
And I think that if you took the Cardinals and placed them against the Broncos in this last game, we lose that handily. And that's why like I'm giving a little bit more grace to the Colts, I think. And that's that them playing the Broncos and winning, I think, has certainly moved them up my ladder versus the Cardinals. We've just played shitty teams, and like we've still barely won. I
think the thing with the NFL, though, you still got to give it like the first 5 or 6 weeks before you truly know, because even after 2 games, you're like, okay, I just saw the Eagles and Cowboys put up 1 billion points, and then I see the Eagles struggle with the Chiefs, who I thought the defense was bad, and then the Cowboys struggle with the Giants and come back and win. And you're like, is Denver good? I don't know. It's like there's a lot of things. There's so many questions you don't have, but I would say, if you're like bridging it off of what we thought, you're probably right.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, on the flip side of this coin, 0-2 teams primed for a comeback. Chiefs, Jets, Dolphins, Browns, Titans, and Giants. I mean, obviously, this one's the Chiefs. I think that's a pretty low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, I think you look at what happened to the Chiefs in Week 1. They had an opportunity to win. It's like there's things that they can fix. If they can fix it, then they get right. And the other, obviously, glaring piece we just talked about, if they get their offense put back together.
That's my concern. I didn't talk during the Chiefs. I will not be talking during any of the Chiefs recaps because I'm labeled a Chiefs hater. So I figured it's best just to keep my mouth shut. But
it's going to continue to, as long as you don't defend yourself.
I don't need to defend myself because I don't care what your guys' thoughts and opinions are. So I don't need to defend myself. If the Brainiac community wants to come at me and want me to defend my case, I will do so. But
nobody in the Brainiac community is going to accuse you of being a Chiefs hater, because they're also all Chiefs haters. Everybody's Chiefs haters.
Okay,
maybe not after this season if we suck.
What were you going to say about the offense? I'm genuinely interested. I just want to hear what you think.
Yeah, I think that the Chiefs offense is the problem, and the fact that Patrick Mahomes is your leading rusher. I mean, you were saying it and I was just like, I agree completely. Like, that's a problem. And the large part of the problem was the same problem last year, where your offense just wasn't clicking because you didn't have your pieces on the field all at one time, and that has trickled over into this season. And you've lost Xavier Worthy. Rashee Rice isn't coming back until week 6. I think that if I was a Chiefs fan, I would be concerned at this moment that, okay, are we really going to have to wait until hopefully Xavier's there? If Xavier's not there next week, are you going to lose that freaking game? This division is starting to warm up, and offensively, your key pieces aren't there. And Rashi hasn't played football in almost a year at this point. Is he going to come back and look okay? I mean, there's just a lot of questions around that. And the fact that Patrick Mahomes has reverted back to this, I have to put the team on my back and rush the ball. We didn't see that a ton last year. He'll do it when he needs to, but he's even stated he doesn't want to have to do that unless needed. And you saw that happen throughout the entire game where he's just like, fuck it, I'm going to tuck and run because I have to, because that's what I need. The team needs from me in order to win.
Yep.
If I was a Chiefs fan, I would be a little bit concerned starting off 0-2 this season. And if they can't really get this offense figured out and start to figure out how to put points on the board, it's going to be problematic for your season.
Yeah. With any NFL season or team, and this goes, for anybody that's fans, you don't want to be peaking in week 2. You don't want to be seen as, my God, we got this all put together in week 5. You don't want to be like, hey, we got this thing good to go in week 8. This is a long-ass season, and I think people forget that. And I think every week lives in a vacuum, as it should, because it's week over week. But I think the goal is to get better by the end of the season. Of all the teams you listed, of which of those teams do I feel like is going to get better? Like you said, it's a layup question. It's a layup question because it's like, of course, this team has the higher percentage chance. I will give you this, though. I kind of like the Browns. I don't know why.
Is it because of Joe Flacco?
I like Joe Flacco, and their defense is really fucking good.
Their defense is good.
Their defense is
good.
And so I sneakily like the Browns, but that was my only other pick. Those are the only 2 teams.
Okay, give us a different pick, Scotty, other than the Chiefs, because that seems pretty self-explanatory. Because all the other ones are kind of gross.
They're all gross.
Jets, Dolphins, Browns, Titans, Giants.
I guess if I had to choose, I'd probably say the Giants because, we saw what Russell Wilson did. I think that's probably an outlier. I still think Jackson Dart's going to come in, and there's going to be hope with Jackson Dart. Even if he doesn't play like Superman, there's going to be hope there, and there's an opportunity at least for the Giants maybe to put somebody in the game that's going to ignite the offense and get things moving and make the fans happy again. So I think I'd have to go with them, but ultimately I think the Giants are going to be pretty bad. Just like
I think all these teams are. These are all teams that we had pegged, aside from the Dolphins, who we saw as maybe middle of the pack. These were all teams that we're not expected, or we're not sitting here shocked that they're 0-2. Aside from maybe the Chiefs, we're not surprised that these teams are 0-2 and that their trajectory is not on a good point. So, okay, biggest surprise so far this season. So we're 2 weeks in. What is the biggest surprise for you guys this season so far?
You just said it. The Dolphins and how fucking bad they are.
Yeah,
that still is blowing my mind.
Yeah. And that was going to be mine, by the way. I mean, genuinely, it was either going to be that or we've spent enough time on the Colts. So I was like, okay, I don't want to, fodder on the Colts anymore.
I think it's, the Dolphins to me, it's just like, wow.
Yeah, it looks bad, really, really bad. This team is imploding. Yeah,
toxic environment. Not just that they have a bad team. we were just talking about the Jaguars. They got some missing pieces, or they're trying to gel, they're trying to do some things, or whoever it is, or the Titans we were talking, same thing. It's like, they're trying to figure. It's like they're bad. They got some shit they're dealing with internally.
Yeah. Well, I have another one. Do you have one, Scotty?
You go ahead.
Okay. The one that I wanted to briefly mention, because we haven't really talked about J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings, and I just wanted to bring this up, is after they won last week, the amount of glazing that NFL media was doing about J.J. McCarthy and he's the savior because of that fourth quarter comeback, and I'm like, what are we doing here? And then, I see people talking about J.J. McCarthy this week and how the Vikings lost this game, and J.J. McCarthy looks really bad now, and I'm like, you guys are fucking idiots. Yeah. The NFL community, the NFL media circle is a bunch of fucking morons because... Go ahead, Alan.
No, keep going. Sorry.
No, I don't understand why on God's green earth he played one good quarter with the Vikings. And this, if you really get down to brass tacks, this is his rookie season. He has never taken an NFL snap until last week. So that's where I'm like, everybody's like, J.J. McCarthy's the savior. And then this week, they're like, J.J. McCarthy looks like a real problem. I'm like, it's 2 fucking weeks in with a rookie quarterback. Give the guy some grace. Who cares what it looks like? Let's just see how this goes as it progresses, because it's week 2. And that was my one thing that I really wanted to throw in here as far as just the surprise. It's just how stupid people are.
Here's the conspiracy theory is because now, as a few hours ago, they say McCarthy's going to be out 2 to 4 weeks with this ankle injury.
That.
And then people were putting tape out. They're like, what exactly was this ankle injury? Because at the very end of the game, he's scrambling and throwing darts, and he looked just fine and running off the field. Then they're pairing it with, well, Justin Jefferson didn't seem very happy with the lack of production. He seems very disgruntled. So the conspiracy theory is, are they giving him this ankle injury and let's see what else we can do with this offense, and letting
which I think is fair. Like, I think it's fair.
I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, and I do too, because why can't you just come out and say we're going to bench him and put Carson Wentz in? But you can't do that, because if you do that and you come out and you say that, then it means, well, what's the future look like? And then you get on the whole narrative of, you could have had Sam Darnold and you didn't sign him because you wanted to have JJ McCarthy because you thought he was the deal. And so, I think that, is there probably a little bit of truth to that? Wouldn't surprise me. But you can't sit there and tell the fans who can't read the tea leaves here and understand what actually is going on. Yeah, if you need to bench him for a little bit, that's fine. I don't think that's necessary, because it hasn't looked great. JJ McCarthy has not looked good. But also, it's 2 weeks in his rookie campaign, and you're already calling for freaking pitchforks. And I'm just like, golly. Now, if we're week 8 or 9 and it's still the same dog and pony show, like, maybe we need to, like, figure this out a little bit more. But 2 weeks in, I'm just like, what is wrong with you people?
Well, that's the problem with the conspiracy theory. If the conspiracy theory is actually has some grains of truth in it, where they're like, well, we need to get him off. Why? Like, why are you overreacting after 2 weeks? Justin Jefferson's going to be fine. It's been 2 weeks. Like, let the kid get some. Find out what you have before you start making rash decisions. So, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. And the reason people are overreacting to it is precisely because of what you said. I mean, this is a team with Justin Jefferson. This is a team with an offense that was unbelievably good with Sam Darnold. Like, they should be good. And if they're not good, everyone's going to freak out. It's not like it's not like Cam Ward's situation. If Cam Ward comes out and doesn't look great, everyone's like, yeah, it makes sense. This is a team that, like, wants to win right now. So everybody's going to be freaking out and
but you
overhyping
can't.
Everything.
This division is so stacked that somebody has to be the odd man out. So give your freaking rookie the development that he needs. Take an L on the season, and I'm not saying that's what you're shooting for, but, like, if that's the trajectory, okay, so be it. Let's see if we can build this kid up and get him to be something, because playing quarterback in the NFL is the hardest thing to do. And especially for somebody who's never done it before and they need those valuable reps, let the kid go. So, okay. I got one more question, and then we'll do Monday Night Preview. We'll get the heck out of here. Which fan base should be panicking the most right now? I think there's one team that comes to mind.
Mine's the Bengals.
Okay.
Because you're not losing this season. You're worried about now your entire organization.
As far as, like, long-term trajectory?
Yeah. I mean, this is now you've seen multiple injuries with Burrow. This isn't like a freak accident. Like, this is who he is now, and you don't know if this is going to change. And you missed the playoffs last year. You've missed the playoffs more often than not now with Burrow as your starting quarterback, and that's a problem. And if I'm a Bengals fan, as much as I feel like there's hope, I feel like that window's shut. Like, slam closed. It's like, well,
do you regret not trading him to me in Dynasty?
No.
Okay. I didn't know if you're no. Okay.
No, because now my motivation is I just don't want you to have him.
He may not be playing, but you don't have him.
You don't have him. I'm going to keep starting him.
All right. I just was checking the temperature here, seeing if maybe you would sell him to me now. But if that's not the case, then
I'll sell him to you.
Well, you're not in the league anymore, so
I'm in a league with you. You can have him
for free. We'll talk.
Let me think about it.
Okay. Scotty, you also saying the Bengals here?
The Bengals are definitely the right answer, I think. But if I had to choose a second one, it's going to be the Bears. Unfortunately, I mean, the Bears have got to be worried about the production that they've seen, and just the way it looks on the field just doesn't look. This is a team that's been rebuilding for like half a decade, and you just want something to come out of it, and you keep getting hyped up and then disappointed, and it just looks so far through this season. It's very early. It's an overreaction, but so far through this season, you feel the same way you have for every season for like our entire lives.
Well, that just should be the norm for them, I suppose.
Right. But the problem is they keep getting told it's not going to be like this, and then it's like this again. It's like being a Nebraska fan. It's we're just got to get used to it.
We're used to it. I would say for me, we've touched on the Dolphins quite a bit, but that's the one that, like, I was expecting at least a middle of the pack team, and it looks like the roof is literally on fire and everybody inside is just burning to the ground.
So what's interesting about that is I do know one diehard Dolphins fan, and I had a conversation with him before the season started, and I said, what do you think? Like I said, Dolphins might be okay, and he was totally out. He hates Mike McDaniels. He thinks Tua's terrible. He's like this team is gonna be ass, and and so it seems like, at least from that one interaction, like Dolphins fans might have been pretty aware of this more so than the general NFL fan population.
Maybe so, and that's I didn't expect them to be incredible, but I expected them to do a lot better than whatever. Yeah. Like I dread seeing Dolphins on the field at this point, because I'm like, I don't want to watch this.
Being pretty good to dog shit. I was not thinking dog shit was going to be the correct answer.
No. Okay, Monday Night Preview. Currently, the game going on right now actually is the Bucks Texans game. I don't know if there is a current score, because
it's a lot of scoring already. 3 drives, 3 scores. It's 10-7 Houston. A couple touchdown passes from Baker and CJ Stroud, just kind of falling.
We're not used to 2 Monday night games, so it's really unfair for us as
throw people off.
It's just fucking stupid is what it is. Like, why are we doing this?
It is. It's dumb.
Okay, hold on. We want a scheduling gripe. Why the fuck do we have 30 games at noon and like 2 or 3 at 3, and then
2
can
Monday
we get
games?
I'm okay with the Sunday night game. I'm okay with the Monday night game. Those are cool standalones, but can we at least split up the games so like we have a handful at noon and an equal amount at like the 2:33?
It's so fucking annoying.
The 3 o'clock or the 3:05 Central Time.
I'm okay with that.
If you guys watch Red Zone, it's insane. When there are like nine noon games, it's almost impossible to even watch Red Zone. It's just like nonstop. You can't focus on it.
One more hot take before we get out. Actually, if you're not playing fantasy, I actually don't care for Red Zone.
Oh
no,
that's kind of great. That is odd.
Because I think you lose a lot of the game flow and what's actually happening, and you're just watching the scores. I think you miss out on so much context and like what the game actually becomes. I actually don't like it.
Here's what I'm just going to propose this to you guys is my plan once I am a homeowner. My basement is going to have multiple TVs, and I will have every game on to include Red Zone. So that way, because I understand what you're saying, where I want Red Zone on so I can like get the headlining, the camera turned to the game that I need to watch for the scores, but I also want to be able to watch the game flow for all the elements. So I understand what you're saying. I like Red Zone for what it is, but I will have all of that
fantasy
going.
I love Red Zone. If I just want to sit down and enjoy a game, I just like having the broadcast on.
Oh, see, that's
I like the standalone games.
I agree with that. Like when you're really interested in watching a game, then it's obviously you should watch the game. But in most cases, you have to choose a game. And so it's either Red Zone, where you get pretty much all of every game, or you just ignore every other game except for checking the score on your phone to watch one game. And then it's like, it's not even a competition. Red Zone is much, much better. Unless you're going to put 40 TVs in your basement. But even if you do that, it's like you're still missing out on all of the games. Like,
I'm going to get all of them. I'll find a way.
Yeah, here's the elephant in the room. Some of these games aren't worth watching.
Yeah, but you still got to have them up.
You want to watch I'm saying, like, if you want to watch like, I would change the Lions game. Once they get up by like 20, I'm like, all right, I'm done watching this shit. I want to go watch a different game. Maybe something that's more competitive. Maybe
that's why you have Red Zone on, just so like if something interesting happens, you can peek over to it. So you got to have it all up, is what I'm trying to say. And I'm here for it.
So I guess like I was watching Red Zone, and until the Colts game got really crazy, and then I turned on the Colts game. So like I guess I agree with you there. Like when there's a game that's like particularly interesting, then you focus on it. But most Sundays, Red Zone is amazing.
I don't know. I check my phone a lot. I'm just like, I can get all the information on my phone.
Okay, Bucks Texans. Obviously, the Texans are currently winning this game at the bottom of the first quarter here, 10-7. Who wins this game, gentlemen? Bucks are 1-0. Texans are 0-1.
Even with the score in hand that I see, I'm basically getting 3 points against me. I'm still going to take the Bucks.
Okay, Scotty.
I think the Texans got to figure it out. Bucks seem Texans right now seem very inconsistent, but it's only 2 weeks in. I think the Bucks are going to prove to be more inconsistent over the course of the season. I think the Texans are going to figure it out and be an above average team. So I guess I'm going to go with the Texans.
I'm going to take the Bucks here. I agree with Alan. I think the Bucks are a better team at this juncture, and this could go either way. And obviously, we already have a 3-point differential against us, but I think the Bucks will figure this one out. Okay, the interesting one that you guys have a lot of stake in is the Chargers Raiders, both 1-0, both in your division. Who wins this game?
I think the stake it's good because it gives one of them a loss. So it's like, whatever.
I kind of hope for a tie. Maybe neither team gets a win.
I mean, the Chargers, if I have to pick, obviously, you got to take the Chargers at this point in time. You assume what they did in Brazil is going to carry over, but you never know. I mean, Geno Smith looks good, but I think the Chargers should walk away with a win.
Okay, I agree with that. And Scotty, you're nodding your head yes, so you have the Chargers winning this one as well. I do too. I think this could be really interesting. Would I be like shocked if the Raiders won? No, but I would kind of hedge my bets on the Chargers winning this one just based on what they did last week. So.
Could you imagine how loud Yeti would be if the Raiders were 2-0 leading the division?
That'd be sick. Honestly, I'm kind of rooting for it.
Me too. I was going to say, like, I'm kind of rooting for him. That would be great.
He might need some of the
game.
blood pressure meds.
Yeah, Scotty got to spot him a couple of those pills. All right, gentlemen, let's get the hell out of here. For all of you who have tuned in, whether at the very end here or throughout this entire show, we genuinely appreciate your guys' support. We're a growing podcast, and it means the world when you hit that subscribe button on all those social media platforms. They're listed up here in the studio, right above me over here, somewhere up there. But go follow us right above Alan. He's holding them very beautifully. We're everywhere. We're constantly producing content, and we love to do it, and it is prime time to do so with the NFL season in full swing. So go follow us wherever you might be at. Hit the subscribe button and leave us a review. 5 stars is the only thing that we accept, or we will deny your review. But we appreciate you guys. We love you guys, and we I think so.
Are
yeah.
Out.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you tune into our new releases every week on your favorite podcast app. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and check out leatherbrains.com for all of your fantasy football needs. And remember, Brainiacs, a championship should be more than a fantasy.